Brad Sorty, I'm the executive.
Brad, thanks for letting me come on.
Absolutely, very excited to have you. Thanks so much. My pleasure.
There's not a family that I've run across that doesn't have some type of involvement in this, whether it's with them directly, whether it's extended family, whether it's coworkers or friends or neighbors. And one of the reasons that I spend so much time talking about this issue is not only because of how important it is in the lives of people in our country every day, but also because the only way we're going to get by all this is to lower the stigma that goes along with seeking help and seeking treatment.
Governor Christie, I did want to share one thing as it follows from a question that you answered downstairs, or a response to one of the questions from downstairs as to how do we, make sure that people are getting access to good care. I'm very proud of the group of people sitting here at the table, and we have members of our organization, volunteers who are part of our board, as well as other providers from the community, whether it's Jupiter Medical or the Society for Aging, where we are working together with different agencies to be able to collaborate. And I think that that's one of the things that I've really tried to focus on as an organization, is that the only way that we're going to be able to do this effectively is to be open with one another and share and collaborate, not just as practitioners, but also as every member of the community that's impacted by this. So we're very proud of the fact that we try as a 25-year member of this community to be a beacon and to be a leader, to set the example and provide guidance to those who are finding a way.
The work that's done here and the spotlight that's being put on it, and needs to be put even brighter and brighter, because I think that one of the biggest battles we have, as I was saying downstairs, is stigma and having people erase this sense. And that's why whenever I talk about this, I talk about my mom in the same breath that I talk about anyone else who has an addiction. My mother was addicted to nicotine, and she smoked for 55 years. And she tried everything she could to quit and could not, and inevitably, by the time she was 71 years old, she had lung cancer and she died. And at the time when she was diagnosed, not only did no one say she shouldn't be treated, well, she got what she deserved. She made a choice. Everybody knew smoking was bad for you. Everyone knew it caused lung cancer. How could she keep doing it? No one said that. Nor was I ashamed to tell anyone that my mother had lung cancer and been a smoker, because we saw it as it should be, as a disease. And so I think we need to try to get ourselves with other types of addiction in the same place. And the only way to do that is for people at every level of society, from the President of the United States right on down, to be talking about it in that way.
Thank you for the story you just shared, because I think that the heroin epidemic gets a lot of press because it unfortunately sells newspapers, but the joy epidemic that we experience down here gets no press whatsoever. You got Liz, Betsy. I celebrated 5 years yesterday, and I got married in September.
Congratulations.
I didn't think those things would happen. Thank you. I just didn't think they were going to happen. But through coming here and through Sid and Brad, my uncle also got sober a year and a half ago, and that doesn't make headlines. White kid from upstate New York gets married. That doesn't sell newspapers, but the story behind it, I believe, would. So thank you. I really appreciate the story you said today, because I don't think that gets publicized enough, and it needs to. Because saying there's a heroin epidemic and people are dying does not get people like me to stop doing heroin. Saying, hey, you know how you wanted to get married and have a great job writing TV commercials and have a great relationship with your uncle? That can come true. That's what would help. That's what would help.
Parents and spouses and siblings out there shouldn't feel as helpless as they do.
And I'm such a big believer in that piece of the family, and that's something that's been a cornerstone of the work that we've done. Is you have the individual who's struggling with alcoholism or addiction, and the squeaky wheel gets the grease. But what about the sisters and the brothers and the spouses and the parents? And the reality is that the impact just spreads. And so the focus on really identifying that whole group of people as a group of people that needs just as much help as the individual who's struggling with the addiction is such a huge piece of the success in the future.
Well, the idea that person is the only victim is just just fallacious. I mean,
Yeah, absolutely.
We
everybody-
believe the family is the patient and the
Yeah.
patient is the family.
Yeah.
So we have to treat the whole unit.
So true. Over 50% of the current federal prison population is for non-violent, non-dealing drug offenders.
Yep.
That's an obscenity. It is a waste of federal resources, and it is not helping people get their lives back. Those folks don't need to be punished, they need to be treated. So the first thing is that you change the mindset of prosecutors. Say, okay, because I was one for a long time, and I used to bring the new prosecutors I'd hire, I'd bring them into my office before I'd swear them in, and I'd make them look at the seal of the department, and I'd say, read the seal of the department. They'd say, why? I said, just read it out loud. And they say, Department of Justice, and I say, so it doesn't say Department of Prosecution, right? It says Department of Justice. Our job every day, I want you to remember every day, your job is to do justice. Sometimes justice is prosecuting, sometimes it isn't. And I'm expecting you to use your judgment on that. So the first thing is I go to the Department of Justice and say, on this score, if someone's violent, if someone's dealing this poison in neighborhoods, we'll always have a jail cell for that person. They deserve to be punished. They're profiting from this poison. They're creating violent acts in its wake. You need to be punished for that. But for those folks who are not engaged in that conduct, but are engaged in kind of the small-time, petty, non-violent crimes that typify an addict, we need to have a diversion for those folks, and we need that diversion to be the treatment. So the first place I'd start is in the Justice Department, and then take some of the money that I was using to incarcerate people at 50% of the prison population. Take that money and give it to the Department of Health and Human Services, and say to them, all right, now set up treatment models throughout the country that will respond to this new demand that we're going to have, because we're going to have federal drug courts in all 93 federal districts across the country. And those things are what we really need to be focused on. And so that's what it would look like. And I think the third piece of it would be a president who was talking the way I spoke downstairs and the way I'm speaking up here now on a regular basis around the country behind the seal of the president. So that anyone, whether it was Tim or Betsy or Liz, no matter what stage of your disease or your recovery you were in, would turn on the television set or go on your iPad or your PC and say, the President of the United States gets it. And he doesn't think I'm a lost cause. He knows I'm a gift. He knows I'm a gift from God, and that my life has value. And I can do something with that. And it'll speak also to your parents and to your spouses and to your siblings that we're going to think differently about this in this country. And that's where we're going to get, how we're going to get where we're going to get to. It's not only the tangible things of money and beds and approach in a prosecuting office, but it's also how we talk about it and how we treat each other.